going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. This is Leo's Nerd Talk, and today we're going to be talking about Sinners. So let's get into that. Hi, my name is Leo, and as I talk about the movie, TV show, video game related, or just anything nerdy, you have come to the right place. And like I said, today we are talking about Sinners. Without further ado, let's get into the review. Now, Sinners is definitely a genre blender where it blends kind of a musical aspect, a crime mob aspect, a horror vampire element to it, while all bringing in this beautiful black music culture to kind of tangle it all together for this really amazing experience. One of the best movies I've ever seen in my entire life. One of the best movies of this year for sure. Maybe my favorite movie of the year so far as well. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into my pros. So, starting off with the pros, visually, this movie was absolutely amazing. The way the editing is shot, the camera work, the way they implemented the music so that it is visually pleasing and also audibly pleasing. Like there's so many times throughout the movie where you hear a musical number in the background and what characters are doing in the foreground are matching the beat of the music, and that just makes for such a pleasing movie to watch throughout the entire experience. And then when you get to the actual music itself, absolutely amazing music, some of the best music in movies I've ever seen. Such great voices, great guitar work, just a great atmosphere to this movie, adding in this very blues style type of music. And this is, definitely a big homage to black music culture, black culture in general. And you see that, there's this really cool element that they kind of introduce where if you're gifted as a music player, you are able to kind of tie the bridge between past and future and also spirits and stuff like that. And so that ends up being a very awesome way to kind of visualize how the music is being played out. Like there's this really awesome scene in this kind of like bar kind of saloon that the Michael B. Jordan's character makes the Stack and Smoke brothers. And it's just this moment where you have this guy, they call him Preacher Boy, is playing this song that he wrote. And as he's playing, the camera is just going around, and you're starting to see, hip hop. You're starting to see very ancient music. You're starting to see the future of rock, current music, and stuff like that. So it starts to blend all these different genres in this one beautiful kind of one take type of a shot. And then you start seeing like, ancestors and spirits starting to kind of come around and start dancing. And it's just such a beautiful moment, such an amazing moment as well. Just how it sounds, how it looks. And this is kind of like the stepping point where we get into like a basically full on horror movie at this point, where we've already been introduced to the vampires at this point, but this is where things are going to start going down. And the vampire stuff is not a spoiler. It's in the trailer. I guess some people didn't really watch the trailer though, because on my way out, we heard a couple of people saying that they thought this movie was going to be like a cannibal movie or a zombie movie, which I don't know from the trailer if they saw it at all where they got that from. This was clearly going to be a vampire movie. Even when we got the first trailer and there was no vampire shots in that first trailer, you can still kind of tell that that's where it was heading. But besides the whole vampire stuff, let me just speak on just the way the story was built out. You have Michael B. Jordan's character, or characters, or twin brothers, Stack and Smoke, and I just love their dynamic between each other or between himself. He just plays both those characters very well. Super awesome characters. And you have this very slow, methodical build up to the vampire stuff. Like you don't really get into the vampire stuff until about an hour 15 into the movie. And for some people, that might not be what they expected, but I think every step of the way there was just amazing. Just being kind of just thrown into this, again, black culture, music culture. It just was such a beautiful story, and the way it was being told. For me, even the way it was paced, it still felt pretty quick pace. I never felt myself being bored. I was always entertained, always invested in what's going on. And for me, if this had um no vampires at all by the end of it, I still would have been very pleased with the way the movie was taking place, the way it kind of just laid it all out for you. It was done very well. But once we do get into the vampire stuff, this for sure is one of the best vampire movies ever. The carnage was amazing. How visceral these vampires are, and then you have this main vampire that knows about Preacher Boy's kind of abilities to kindle the spirits through his music, and he wants to kind of abuse that for himself. And I like that tie-in where even the main villain of the movie needs the music for himself to try to do what he wants to do. And again, once we get into a scene where there's a bunch of vampires coming after them, it gets brutal, it gets bloody, carnage candy for days. It is so intense. It's just a boom, 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 boom. It doesn't stop until the end. So I love that switch over. You have such a slow, methodical beginning, and it ends up just going through the roof 100% all the way to the end, and it just ends up leaving you with your jaw on the ground because just how beautiful the story was, how amazing it was shot, the directing was amazing, the acting was amazing. Everything about this movie, in my opinion, was extremely incredible. I am so happy I was able to watch this movie in theaters. And looking at the numbers so far, it's not doing. I'm not sure what the budget is, so I'm not sure if it's doing good or bad compared to what the budget is. But it didn't have a huge opening weekend. Understandably so. Not that many people really know about this, or this seeing the trailer might not be like their style in a sense of what entertains them. But if you have the chance, 100% go check this movie out. You will not be disappointed. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into my cons. And this is a very short list. There's probably none. But no, seriously, I did mention it already that even though the slow methodical start didn't really bug me per se, but you do kind of wish the vampire stuff was introduced a little bit sooner. um I still thoroughly enjoyed everything about this. This movie definitely has some reminiscence of other movies as well, like From Dusk Till Dawn. So that's kind of a cool, if you like From Dusk Till Dawn, where the majority of the movie is something completely different, nothing related to vampires, nothing related to horror, and it just has a huge switch up at the end. You will 100% enjoy this movie. Some people might not like that, and I can see where that can be a con, where some people didn't expect it to be that big of a switch up and it might throw them off. So I can see how that can be a con for someone. But for me, it 100% works. I love From Dusk Till Dawn, one of my favorite vampire movies, one of my favorite horror movies of all time as well. So with this having that similar flavor, I think for me it's very much enjoyable. But that's gonna be it for this one, guys. Let me know what you guys thought about Sinners in the comment section down below. Have you guys checked it out yet? If you haven't, definitely go check it out in theaters right now. But again, if you guys like Tom Think movie, TV show, or video game related, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you.